Welcome to the third episode of the Shredding for Gold podcast. I'm your host and star athlete, Emily Trepanier. And thank you for joining me and listening to this podcast. Before we get started, I'd like to let you know that if you would like to listen into this podcast, if you're listening somewhere else, feel free to check out the home of this podcast at http://wyexcuse.com/shredding-for-gold. And that's where you can listen to the podcast and be sure to subscribe. And we're also now on Apple Podcasts. So you should be able to ask any device, hey Alexa, play the Shredding for Gold podcast on Apple Podcasts, and it should be able to link you right to this podcast. And be sure to also leave a review and a rating, as it helps us to grow better and get better, and shows us who's listening and So we're back with our third episode of the Shredding for Gold podcast, and by now this podcast has live to air, and it's a very exciting time. It's been a busy week here, getting back into work mode for me and Darling. And we also just came back from a super amazing camping, paddling, yoga weekend trip with our stand-up paddleboarding coach, Drew. And so a big shout out to Bowen Island Sea Kayaking, and also to my stand-up paddleboarding and yoga coach, Drew Climmy, for hosting an amazing weekend getaway out in Howe Sound here in British Columbia. So we will link those links to the bottom of this podcast for you guys to check out, and maybe it's something that you guys might be interested in joining, as this was their first one, but they're already starting to plan for 2022, so maybe we'll see you there, and maybe we won't. It's hard to say, but either way, we will be linking the Bowen Island Sea Kayaking and also my stand-up paddleboarding and yoga coach Drew Climmy's website as well for you guys to check it out. So last episode we chatted with my best friend Lindsay Ng, and that was a really fun interview. Hopefully you guys got to listen to it and enjoy. Let us know how we're doing. What are you liking so far on the podcast? What are you not liking? What would you like us to change? Are there any things that you would want us to, that you'd like me to chat about? Let me know. You can leave us a review, send us an email at trepanieremily@yahoo.ca, and just let me know how you guys are doing and how are you liking the podcast so far. So we're now on to episode 3, and we are heading to the mountains for this episode. If you guessed it, we are going to be interviewing one of my hill coaches that I had back in Ontario, and that has actually helped me out here on the West Coast as well a bit. So today we're going to be interviewing Ethan Rigby, and he was my snowboarding coach for a few years in Ontario, and also came with me to a few race camps out here on the West Coast. So we're going to sit down with Ethan and chat about his experience about being a coach to someone who is a blind snowboarder athlete, and just get his thoughts about that and a couple other things as well. So without any further ado, let us get started with the interview with Ethan Rigby. Okay, welcome to the podcast, Ethan Rigby. So happy to have you here today. And so welcome to the third episode of Shredding for Gold. And so Ethan, welcome to the podcast. How's it
Thank you,
going?
Emily. I'm doing well. How are you?
Excellent. All right. So for the listeners, let's start off super easy and let's have you describe who you are and what your interests are.
Oh, that's a hard one. All right, so I'm Ethan, and what I do is right now a dual degree student at the University of Calgary doing software engineering and business. And I'm in a work term right now, so I'm focusing on doing work and sort of I have a bunch of other side projects that I'm going on and doing right now. As well for volunteering and stuff, I will usually go and help out as a mentor at our local FRC team here, as well as I do CADs every year.
Awesome. And for the listener's sake, can you tell people what CAD stands for?
Oh, sure. That's the Canadian Association. And there's a D S. This is the hard one. I will never remember that.
I think it's Canadian Association Disabled Sports? Something like that.
The Canadian Adaptive Snow Sports.
That's what it is.
That's what we're going for.
I always mix it up too, so don't worry.
Every time you tell me that, and I'm like, I could not remember for the life of me.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And so, how did you get interested in CADs and winter sports?
Well, I guess it started off around like when you met me back in London. So in high school, I would do a bunch of volunteering, and I have a couple like things myself, like ADHD. I have a language disability thing, so sorry if I stutter with words and mix stuff up.
It's all good.
And yeah, one of the things that I did in high school was I'd help out at our DE classrooms, where we'd go and have a bunch of people, and I'd basically spend what we'd call like where I didn't have classes, I'd go and hang out with them and do a bunch of other stuff with them. And that kind of led me to track 3, which I believe Emily started with, right?
Yes, I started
back with at the bowler bump.
Technically, I started in Kitchener, but then I quickly switched over to London. So yeah.
True.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I got led to track 3. Is I did I was already a snowboard teacher, so me and my brother were looking at different ways we could help, and we saw track 3 just at the place we taught at, so we thought it would be a great opportunity to go and help out other people.
That's awesome. And how long did you help out with the track 3 program in London?
Oh gosh, in London, probably 3 years, right? Okay. That seems about right. And I guess technically a bit more, because whenever I'm back for winter, I'll go and help out with their teaching the current snowboarders how to do basic teach.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I've kind of transitioned out here to COP.
Right. Okay. And that's similar to the track 3 program, correct?
Oh, yeah, that's similar. It's kind of it's very nice though, because we'll take up like every Sunday we'll get the whole whole hill to ourselves.
Oh wow. So
and
no public.
No, we get it all. It's ours. It's super nice though.
Nice.
I know, right? We're
amazing.
Spoiled here.
Oh, I'm coming out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm sure Tom would. You know Tom, right?
I do know Tom.
Yeah.
Yes.
We didn't get to do it last year though, which I'm sad about. Like
because of COVID. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So hopefully we can actually do it this year.
I didn't realize you guys got the whole mountain to yourselves.
Yeah. We got it for like. Oh gosh, we got it for a while. Like every year, like at least 2 or 3 hours or something like that.
What?
Just basically after like, I think 6. I'm not really sure. I forget
Oh
the
my
time. It's been a
goodness.
while.
I'm coming out there. That sounds safer.
It's very nice, except sometimes when it gets cold, the ground is very hard and is not too much fun. But
so it's kind of like when it gets icy in Ontario.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Except Ontario hasn't had snow forever, pretty much.
That's
It's
true.
all been fake.
That's true. That's true. All right. Wow, that's cool. I'm learning something new every day.
Yeah.
That's cool. So let's go back a little bit before track 3.
Sure.
Had you been snowboarding prior to track 3, or?
Yes, I've been snowboarding since probably like I've been 7.
Okay. Oh wow. So you've been snowboarding for quite a while.
Yeah, and then I got into teaching like at the start of high school, I suppose. I think.
Okay. And that was teaching at Bowler Mountain.
Yeah,
correct?
teaching at Bowler Mountain. That's the first place I haven't really taught at many other places aside from volunteer because I've been a bit too busy to go and do that, and I have other stuff that I have to do, like programming in front of a computer.
Oh,
total polar opposite, but you know.
That doesn't sound as exciting as flying down a hill.
I don't know. Both can be pretty exciting, I'll tell you that.
Oh, okay.
You make some pretty cool stuff.
Oh yeah, I suppose you could make some pretty cool programs on the computer.
Oh yeah.
That's true.
I'm working on aside from my job on weekends, I'm working on a big project with some other people, which should hopefully by November we'll have it done and it'll be going out and it should be fun.
Oh, that's cool. That's exciting.
Oh yeah.
Look forward to hearing more about that. Okay. So I know what the Track 3 program and I know what the CAD program is, but some of our listeners might not know. So can you give a brief description of what those both are?
Yeah, I could give a brief description. So what it is it's a program that will allow people with any sort of disability to have the chance to go and do something that they might not have thought they've been able to do before. And in this case, snowboarding or skiing or sit skiing. It allows them to be able to experience these this path that they basically might not have noticed or thought they could do before. And I think it's a very great opportunity. And you get people in who can come and volunteer and help teach everyone on the hill some new skills and let them have fun. Like I've been doing it for a while and I've taught quite a bit of people and it's just amazing. Like some of the people you'll run into, they're all lovely. It's all just great. In a sense, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's really good. Would you say it's pretty rewarding then to the work?
It's rewarding for everyone, I think. Like, you on one side, you get to, if you haven't ever taught before, you get to learn how to teach. You get to make new friends, meet new people, and kind of go through someone learning something new for the first time that they wouldn't have ever thought they could do before. And you get to just kind of watch that. And on the other side, they get to do pretty cool things and have a lot of fun and get to meet some cool people as well.
Awesome. That's awesome. So when you first started coaching me, so this was a few years ago.
Yeah.
What were your initial thoughts when you found out you were going to be coaching a blind snowboarding athlete? And has it changed over the last few years?
Oh, that's a hard one. Let's see. My first thoughts on first thing you're like, oh gosh. That's always scary. I couldn't even imagine going down a hill with my eyes closed, let alone going and depending on someone to tell you where you're going and not to run into a tree, or in our case, powder. So Yeah. I was kind of, I guess, first thoughts in awe on how you even can do that, and especially in your case, like you do black diamonds, you do racing. It's
Yeah.
beyond me. I can sit there and tell you where to go and how big to turn, but I doubt I could do it myself.
And has your thoughts changed throughout the year at all?
No,
Or
no, it's been
no,
pretty much the same.
pretty
If
much the
anything, I've just gained more respect.
same. Nice. Awesome. What would you say some of the differences between coaching a blind snowboarding athlete versus coaching someone who isn't blind?
There are differences. I do try and think of it as all the same. You're trying to teach someone how to go down a hill at fast speeds without dying.
Yeah. Yes.
It's just
yes.
there's some steps in between that you have to put in. Like in our case for blind, you have to, well, usually you take it much slower just so you can have like little baby steps going up, because you have to get used to hearing and listening to us and trusting, especially trusting.
Yeah.
There has to be a lot of trust between
Trust is a huge thing,
guys.
that's for sure. Yes.
And, you know, that can go pretty fast if something bad happens.
Yeah. Thankfully, nothing bad has happened.
Yeah.
Knock on wood.
Luckily.
Knock on wood.
Well, not trees, but yeah. Don't run into those. That's too hard of a knock.
Yeah. That's painful.
Yeah. Usually, like, you get a wide variety of just people who want to try snowboarding too. Like, a lot of people, everyone learns at different speeds, I would say.
For sure.
So it's hard to kind of think of them as too different, because you're still following the same stuff. And like, who knows, if you're trying to teach a blind person how to snowboard, they might just catch on like that, and you're like, oh, okay.
Right.
So
yeah, so everyone's different.
Everyone just kind of learns at different speeds. And
got it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I often get asked by a lot of people, what is it like to guide someone who is blind down a hill? So I'm curious, for you, what is it like for you to be guiding someone who is blind going down the hill?
Have you ever heard of rhythm games?
Rhythm games.
You got to keep on beat, 1, 2, 3, turn. Going into that, so it's kind of like you're trying to look ahead and see the terrain and convey this information to the snowboarder while you're also doing it yourself, and as well as like trying to look around for people. Like, you'll have 2 guides, right?
Yeah.
One in the back, one in the front, to make sure that people are out of the way and no one's getting in the way. But if that does happen, you have to make sure to tell them, because usually only one person has the headset.
Yeah.
And the other, well, it would get confusing if more than that did, because you could just be talking over each other. So
doable, but it would be very confusing for sure.
Yeah. I would get confused myself. Like, wait, am I supposed to turn? So, yeah, it's very interesting, because you have to practice on telling like the different terrain and the changes in terrain, and being able to learn how to convey that to someone else, as well as like, I know in the last time I brought you out, I was just starting on doing like the big turn, small turn, trying to get like different sizes and stuff in. So different little.
So working on like the communication and stuff. And
yeah.
Awesome.
But it's all interesting, and kind of why I brought up rhythm game is snowboarding's a lot about like rhythm. Like, you'll try and keep turns the same sizes just so you can stay in, and especially like if one's too long, you might go too far to one side and then be closer to, say, trees.
Yes. Or cliffs or fences.
Or cliffs. Yeah. Only one way to go, and that's down in that case.
Not down.
Faster than we'd like.
Okay, that's cool. What has been your top 3 favorite memories since you started coaching me?
Let's see. One of them definitely always goes back to the box.
Oh.
Teaching you how to go on some nice rails.
Yes,
That's
that
a
is
good
a
one.
good memory.
Yeah.
I remember my first box and how
Oh,
terrified I
yes,
was.
yes. We just like to picture more of the second one, which is, at Some Peaks was a fun trip that we did.
That was fun.
That
Yes.
was a successful box. We don't talk about the other one.
No.
And yeah, I guess, Some Peaks, we went up there for, how long was it?
It was for a weekend.
A weekend?
Yeah.
So just like 2 days-ish. Went up there and did like a little, that was the CADS camp, right?
It was a CADS camp, but it was like through, it was through one of the race teams here in BC, actually.
Okay, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. I think it's through like Rocky Mountain Adaptive, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it was a race camp, and it was for like race development. But yeah,
still remember that I got you stuck in powder there.
That's super deep powder.
Yes. I mean, you weren't used to it, right?
No.
You're probably getting more used to it now that you're out in BC.
Now that I'm out here, I'm getting more used to it, but I still get stuck in the deep powder.
Yeah, I kind of just tried to throw you in the fire on that one and see what happened.
Good news, I didn't get lost.
Yeah. And then I guess the last one, let's go a bit cheesy here. Okay. Meeting you and the rest of the coaches, like, I wouldn't have known, say, Andrew, if it wasn't through for you, pretty much. And all of them. And just those starting kind of days when me and Isaac started coming to help out.
Oh, yeah.
Always got to love the starts.
That's true. Lots of good memories, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. What have you learned from coaching either a blind snowboarding athlete or any other person that you've coached for snowboarding or skiing?
Oh, gosh. Let's see. Just in general, focusing on blind?
Either one. Blind or, yep.
Or anyone? Well, one of the fun ones, well, I guess I could talk about some stuff here. It might not specifically answer your questions, so sorry, but
no worries. It's all good.
One of my really good friends here in programming, he's a blind snowboarder.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll go out with him all the time. Like I've taken him to I've done the same thing with him with powder.
Oh no.
Except I was at Lake Louise. He's a fun guy to go out with. We'll hang out all the time and very lovely dude. But I think, I've learned a lot by just kind of being around a lot of people doing CADs. Like definitely my favorite aspect of it is just being able to meet people and hear all their stories and be able to possibly teach them something that they haven't ever done before. Like, say, my friend who's in programming with me, we kind of met through CADs. He was at the time, how they have it working there is like a lot of the people who are students will go and come back to volunteer, and he was the ones who was coming back to volunteer.
That's cool.
And then we kind of like, oh, you're in software eng too?
Oh.
And we started going out doing snowboarding stuff down by Sunshine, Lake Louise area.
Nice. That's awesome.
They're the friends you can meet.
That's awesome. Okay. If a new coach comes up to you and asks for advice about coaching an athlete with a disability, what would you say to them?
Well, the main part about learning, like it would depend, like if they were already a snowboard instructor, because a lot of the time people will try and rush through things.
Right.
and they might be focusing on the wrong part of it. And the biggest part of it is people are going out there to have fun.
Right.
Not in most cases, yes, the side or the end product will be learning snowboarding, but you have to have fun with them, get to know them, see what they like doing, see what they don't like doing, and from there, just take your time. And you have a whole year to teach them. And in the last case, the person I've been working with at CADS for, I would have said the past 3 years, but the past 2 years since last year didn't happen.
Right.
I've been with him for 2 years, and it was at the end of last year that we finally got him on the chairlift.
Oh, wow.
And before that, we were always on the magic carpet, and it's always been our goal to get up the chairlift. And yeah, they were super excited. It's hard, especially like
chairlifts are hard.
Yeah, he has one side of his body where he can't really control as well. So getting off that chairlift is
that's even harder then.
Very big feat, and
that's
we
amazing.
did it.
That's amazing. That's so cool.
Yeah, you just can't rush anything. The biggest priority, have fun with it. Make sure that what they're doing they like, because if they don't like it,
right,
it's going to be harder to teach them.
That's true. That's true. I like that. In your opinion, what are some ways snowboarders can train during the off season when they can't be on the snow? Do you have any favorite training activities that you like to do or that you've seen people do?
I'm not gonna lie, I don't do many training activities outside of season. I'm a bit bad on that. But I'd say if you like doing snowboarding, sports in general will help you train. Like, you just have to make sure that your legs are strong, and because that's one of the biggest things is holding your edge while going down, especially if you're going fast. So to train, you just have to work on balance and work on keeping your legs as strong as they can be, pretty much. So like a good example is doing any other sport. I know you do paddleboarding, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Have you gone into the paddleboarding? Do you want to talk a bit about that if you can?
Yeah. So I do stand-up paddleboarding as my cross-training sport, and it definitely helps keep legs strong and work on balance, but also like core strength is also, I feel like, is super important for someone who's snowboarding as well.
Oh, you're totally right on that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's because you definitely use a lot of core when you're snowboarding.
Yeah, that goes into the balance part too. If you don't have core, you're just gonna be flimsy all over the place.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot harder to snowboard. So.
That'll just work into your form, because if you don't have a good core, you might be bending back too much. That'll put you off balance. You might lose your edge because of it, so on and so forth.
Could hurt yourself too if you get a weird edge too. If you're not used to like working those muscles in different forms too. So.
Oh yeah, totally. I know, like sometimes when I went out for the first time in the season, you just kind of are out of it, and you're like, oh god, my legs are killing for the next week.
It happens.
And you just got to deal with it, you know? It is what it is.
It is what it is. It gets better over time.
Yep.
Awesome. And then my last question, what is your hope for the future of para snowboarding?
Oh, I really hope it becomes a lot more mainstream than it is. Like, I think it's one of the coolest things I've ever been able to have the pleasure of helping out with, and I only wish that it grows, because it opens up so many doors. It allows people to do so many things that they've probably never even looked at or thought that they could do. And it's very rewarding, I think, for everyone to be able to go in there and help them and be able to like experience like Like, for example, when I go back to bringing the person I've been working with for the last 2 years on the lift, the feeling of being able to actually get off the lift without falling for the first time, like you can't beat that.
No,
It's
I
just
definitely agree with there. I remember my
yeah.
first time getting off the
Oh
chairlift.
yeah. Those chairlifts at Boulder are kind of hard.
They are tricky. Getting on them is pretty easy.
Oh, it's
but
getting off.
getting off of them is a whole nother ball game. So
Oh yeah.
I totally know how that feels.
You know, Bowler might be like 5 minutes up, 1 second down, but at COP or their lifts, those hills down are insane.
Oh,
Compared to like say COP, it's so much nicer and so much
is
easier.
it slowed down? I know.
Oh, it slows down and it doesn't even have like it's maybe like a small like 5-inch drop over a while over some snow and you're good. Like it's almost completely flat and it's nice.
That's amazing. Yeah, those chairlifts.
Yeah.
The love-hate relationship.
Yeah. But yeah, I just definitely think that like I only wish the best for CADs. I hope that people get more and more into it, and especially people who love snowboarding and teach snowboarding. I don't know. Well, yeah, I wouldn't see why you wouldn't want to go and help out with these amazing. Like it's just, I find it a lot more rewarding than just normal snowboarding or teaching for money. Like I don't know. I think it's one of my most favorite things to do.
That's amazing.
And there's a reason I've been doing it for many years.
That's awesome. Yeah, they are definitely amazing programs. And definitely, if you are listening and are interested at all, definitely check them out. And we'll definitely link those, both of those links to this podcast as well. So it's easier for everyone to check out as well.
Yeah.
Ethan, any final thoughts before we?
That's the worst question right there. Have you been up to BC or have you been out to Whistler yet?
No, not yet.
Oh gosh. I can't remember the last time I went there. The last time I went there, they lost all of our snowboarding luggage on the way there, and we didn't get it till like 2 days in.
Don't tell me that.
No, that was on the plane.
Oh, that was on the plane.
Yeah.
That's always my worst nightmare when I'm bringing like my snowboarding gear or my stand-up paddleboarding stuff, going on a plane and like leaving it at the desk to like get it checked and everything. I always say a little prayer in my head. I'm like, please don't lose my stuff because this is super important. And then when I come back and get my equipment, I'm like, oh, I love you. Thank you for not losing it.
Yeah. Do you think you're gonna go out this year then or try to go out?
I would love to get out to Whistler. Definitely would love to get out to Whistler.
There's a bunch of places though to ski and snowboard there, right?
There is, yeah.
That's just like the big one, the only one I can think of off the top of my head.
That's like one of the ones that I've always been like, yes, I need to get to Whistler and snowboard there because I'm that would be amazing. But I feel like I'm gonna have to bring a few coaches there. So
probably.
If you're interested.
Oh, maybe.
All right.
I'm working right now. After I could get some time off, maybe.
Awesome. It'll likely be on March break since that's when I get my time off. So.
Fair enough.
Awesome. Well, Ethan, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast today. It's been super fun chatting with you and getting some insight from you and learning just about all the amazing programs out there that you've helped out with and are helping out with. So thank you so much, Ethan. All right, guys. So we're going to close out this episode of the podcast of Shredding for Gold, and we will see you next time. And again, thank you, Ethan.
Yeah, thanks for having me.